Can you hear me now, Millie Joe? Melly Joe? Do I know you, Melly Joe? Good. Do I know you, Melly Joe? Are you a family member of mine? Team Rose. Okay. Or Tina's. Okay. The reason why I asked you that is because, honest to goodness, my granddaughter's name is Amelia Joe, and we call her Millie Joe. That's why I thought maybe you were my daughter in law. So, good name, though. Hi, Dawn. You're from Australia? I want an Australia friend so bad. I want an Australian and or just anybody that will befriend me from England or Australia, and I want to learn the accent. But no, I do not. I do not have anybody there. Hey Don, what's up? How's everyone? How are you both doing? We've got two people in chat. That's perfect. I thought about not even going live tonight because I thought, well, maybe there's just not enough. I've been on YouTube for almost 2 years um and didn't get serious about having a channel until like a month ago. But I usually always just sit in the bushes and I don't chat that much because I find it so hard to find a community. Um, and kind of like chats to me are like clicks. And if you're not in the click, then it's hard to make friends. Tina has been, PCT has been so good to me. Sweetest, gave me a platform and I really appreciate her. And Rose has been so kind too. So I'm glad you came over here. I know Rose is she's still live? I was in her chat um, just about all evening long. I had to leave to come over to here. Um, but I just wonder, am I doing the right thing? I don't know if I should just continue this and whatever, but it's just, it's so difficult. It's so difficult when you don't know if you're going to have people show up? So I appreciate you too for coming over. And it's really hard just sitting up here and chit chatting um, when I feel like it's myself. Oh, I thought she was gonna come over last night because I did my first live last night. Um, and I don't know what happened, but she missed it. So it'd be cool if she came over here. I love her. There's something dynamic about her. It is hard to start off. Do you have a channel? Do you have a channel, Melly Joe? Melly Joe, I like that. Hard topic. It is a hard topic tonight, that's for sure. Well, it's oh, you don't, Melly Joe? So do you just hang out in Tina's and Rose's chats, or do you have other people that you like too? There's a couple people that both of them, Rose and PCT, have told me to go and check out, but I really like watching both of them just because I feel like I really relate to them. So it's so hard to get involved in other people and some of the vomit that goes on these streets. So um, yeah, I really do like those. Dawn, you need to check out. Well, you've seen Tina, but you need to go and check out Team Rose too. She's a hoot and she don't take no shit, that's for sure. That is for sure. Yeah, those are the 2 that I really like too. I mean, I spent a year and a half going from channel to channel and just watching the vomit happen, and I just couldn't connect to the creators. So, I mean, it was just by the grace of God that I found PCT, and then she's the one that, um, told me to go over and check out Rose, and I did, and I was like, "Oh my god, these are my people." Like, I freaking found my people, and I love it. I love it. I don't know who just came in, but 2 people look like they came in. Say hi, tell me who you are, where you're from. I don't know how to check and see who's here and who's not here unless you're chatting, because 'cause I'm very, very new to this. I'm trying to figure it all out. Oh, yeah. I, only watched Dolly Vision a couple of times. Uh, basically when he was doing I guess you guys do, somebody's kicked off Turtle Island or, cooked off Turtle people go on and off. Um, yeah, yeah, Dawn. Tina and you would get along with all of them, with all of them cats y'all got going on together. But anyways, I did watch a little bit of Dolly Vision, but I couldn't understand what was going on, like what creators were being kicked off and why. I didn't understand the whole thing, and so I guess I just didn't give it all a whole lot of time. But I didn't find her through Dolly Vision. I found her just scrolling through chats, and she was um, up dancing, and I was like, I gotta watch this. And then whenever, um, whenever I jumped into her chat and I was watching her dance, and then she would stop and she would chit chat for a while, and I really just I love the honest. I think I just love the honesty. I love people, even if it hurts to have to hear it. I really love hearing people talk. I love people's lives. Um, I really liked how Rose kind of walks around and shows her art and stuff like that. Yeah, I like real people, good, bad, or indifferent. We don't always have to agree. We don't have to agree at all. Um, I just appreciate people coming out and talking. So there's 2 other people here. Make yourself known. Tell us about you. At least say your name and say hi so I can see that you're here. Because I really honestly do not know how to hold on. Live viewers. There's 4. Do I can't click on that. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to find the 4 people. I just see Melly Joe and Dawn. Thank you for the chatters. Thank you. I know Tattoos came in here a lot earlier. Tattooed Rebel. I went and checked him and Angel's side out, and they do a lot of music, and I absolutely love that too. Yeah, Tina is an open book, and oh man, it's so good, right? I mean, I think it's good. Um, and same thing about Rose, like she talks about her life experiences and stuff like that, and Um, I I like real people. I like real talk. I don't like all the made up stuff that people like to do. Maybe that makes me an unpopular person. I don't know. But I'm pretty much an open book too. Um, gets me in trouble sometime. I mean, you either like me or you hate me. I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, that Leanie, she's okay." Never ever heard that. You either like me or you hate me, and that's just the way it is. So, oh, you watch, yeah. I went to his I think he calls it his bonfire on Friday night, and I could not believe Angel danced the whole time on camera. I mean, I was having secondhand hip pain for her, but she's a lot younger than I am. But still, I was like, "Geez, Louise, was I ever that able to dance that long?" I guess I was, but Lord have mercy. She didn't stop to pee. You gotta stop and pee sometimes, people. or else you're not drinking enough. Anyways, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people remember today is the day that Libby and Abby went missing, Delphi, Indiana. And I always said whenever I got my own channel that I would eventually cover that because I do know a lot about it. Um, not as much as most people, not as much as a lot of creators know about it, but having lived here in Indiana during the time that it happened, I've made a couple trips to Delphi, like a lot of people have, just to because it's really hard to get an understanding of people talk about the bridge and how far away the girls were found and how far they were taken from the bridge and all this other stuff. Um, yes, are the girls that walked across the bridge. Yeah, that's who we're talking about. So today is the 7th anniversary. And I wanted to go live like between the 13th, the late night 13th, and the early hours of the 14th, is because on their death certificates um, and on their tombstones, they got to pick the family got to choose what date they wanted on their tombstones, right? So one family picked the 13th and one family picked the 14th of February to be on their tombstones. So I kind of wanted to go in between that, so I touch a little bit on both days and just remember them. I mean, we know the crap that's going on. If you're following the case at all, Delphi has turned into a huge shit show. Huge. I have never seen, I mean, OJ's case and who else? Letitia's case. All these other cases to me, they look like they ran smooth compared to what's going on in Delphi. Something bad is happening there, and it's a huge, huge, huge injustice. Warrior! Hi, honey. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I love that. Thank you so much. Hey, Warrior, and you're in Australia, right, too? Just like Melly Joe, are you both in Australia? Good to see you, Warrior. Thank you for coming again. I learned a lot from you. Maybe you'll know how to teach me how to find out who all's in chat without asking um, everybody to identify themselves. Anyways, um, yeah. So I about a Delphi has just turned into this huge thing. And I really don't. I mean, we could get into it. We could get into all the crap that's going on there with the lawyers and not the lawyers and the lawyers again and the judge and this judge and that judge and then all of the law enforcement there and stuff like that. But I feel like that's all. I feel like that's all. Everybody knows what's going on there, right? And I feel like we could go through that later. I kind of just on this day and tomorrow, I wanted just to remember just the girls. Um, and part of remembering them is remembering the crime, unfortunately. But I just want to, um, I would rather just remember the girls, and their lives. They were so young, and what happened to them by um, whether you believe Richard Allen to be guilty or not guilty, whoever did the crime to them is he's got a special, special place in hell for him. But these girls were vibrant girls. I do remember that day only because, like I said, I live in Indiana, and I'm where I was living at the time. I live a little further away now, but where I was living at the time, it was only an hour and 15 minutes, and from Delphi. And I do remember that year, and it was much like what this year is turned into. It's unseasonably warm. It's so warm here, like, even now, you can go outside. Now I'm cold-blooded, so I wear a lot of layers, but a lot of people that are actually natives of Indiana, which I am not, they will go outside in short sleeves. They will go outside in maybe just a hoodie. But for me, I gotta have my hoodie, my warm blanket on, and all of that stuff. Um, let's see, my partner. No, that's okay. No, that's okay. I just saw you both are from Australia, and I love that. Oh man, I want to learn how you guys. Uh, I want to learn your accent. Do you think we have an accent? Do Americans have an accent? I'm curious about that. What does our accent sound like to you? Does it sound like to me, guess I can only speak for me, m when I hear an English accent, Australian accent, a Hispanic accent, a German accent, it sounds so peculiar, and natural just the person I am, I want to be able to talk like them, and, we have accents, really? Do you try to, imitate our accent? Is it easy to imitate our accent? Because I feel like it's not easy to imitate other people. And I spent 6.5 years in Germany, and I can't imitate their accent. I could speak enough German to get me some, french fries, but other than that, no. But can you imitate our accent? That would be cool to find out. Because 'cause we're all over here, you know, acting like we know how y'all talk, and I try to mimic it, and I do a very, very poor job. Lenny, hi. Welcome, welcome. Lenny, we kind of look alike. We could be sisters. Now, what I heard was I found, do you really know who your real father is? Because I didn't find mine until like real late in life. I sound like a friend from South Carolina. Hmm, hmm. Accent, lots of R rolling. Oh, so you guys don't use the R like we do, right? Govna, that's English, right? But they don't use the R like we do either. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Anyways, back to Abby and Libby a little bit. Although I want to keep talking this accent thing and how to learn how to do it. Govna. Um, I did. Sorry, I was reading something really quick. I did make a trip to Lenny is Lenny is kind of like my name. I like that. She's got a Y. It's kind of easy to pronounce the way that she spells it. Yeah. Anyways, when about a month after the girls went missing and then were found, Lenny, really, really, your mom's name is Rose. Now is she Rose from YouTube? Is she Ramblin' Rose or Rowdy Rose? I just call her Rose. What part of Indiana are you from? Give me another word to say besides govna that doesn't use the R's. Um, Govna. That's the only word I know that I can say halfway decent that doesn't that has R's in it but doesn't use the R's. So anyways, yeah, a month I could tell you the exact date. It was March 15th. The girls were found on the 14th of no, not Team Rose, Southern Indiana. Okay, got you. You know who Team Rose is. You're probably a Team Rose fan, which is cool because I am too. Um, so I had heard about the girls as they were missing when they went missing, and then of course all of our hearts broke uh whenever they were found and everything. And then, a month went by and or a week went by, another week went by, and nobody had there was nobody in sight. Like everybody, we had joined all these. I do love Team Rose too. I do. In fact, I was hanging out with her all this evening over at her channel. I think she's really cool. Um, I don't know if I should tell the story about when I went to Delphi or not because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want anybody to think that I was just being a one of those sleuthy sleuths, even though I guess that's what you would call it. Like I just wanted to go down there and see what the atmosphere was for myself. I wanted to see, you see things on the TV like of the bridge, like I said, and of the area, and it's hard to get your head wrapped around exactly where they are, exactly where they were found, exactly, how they could have gotten off the bridge, how they, there were so many theories going on about you know, 50 men, 2 men, 1 man, all this other stuff. So I just wanted to get a an idea in my head of what the place looked like. That way I could have a better understanding maybe of the situation. And I was in some Facebook chats and stuff like that um, about them. So on a Friday, I had told my husband, I said, look here. I said, you're going to have to take a trip with me. I need you to drive me over to Delphi. And he said, Delphi. And I said, yeah. I said, I want to go and talk to some locals there. I want to go and take a walk across the bridge and see exactly how hard that is. I want to just get a feel for the area and see where the girls maybe were found and stuff like that so I could understand it. It's hard to understand. I mean, this is a big, vast area that is just incredibly thick with stuff. Please tell us you have personal information like any of this in the chair. No, ma'am, I'm telling you about the exact time that I went to Delphi, and I haven't told this to anybody else. Like I said, I was in YouTube. I mean, not YouTube. I was in Facebook groups at the time. I didn't even know about YouTube back then. I was in Facebook groups, and I was happened to be in a Facebook group that was there was a very popular even today YouTube personality in that group. I did not know him to be a YouTube creator because I didn't even know about YouTube then. I just mainly did Facebook and would join, pages and stuff on Facebook to keep up to date with, cases that I wanted to follow. Well, Indiana being here, it's close to home, so they became I think everybody from Indiana will say they're all of our girls. So, anyways, I told my husband, looky here, this was on a Friday, and I was like, you're going to take me down to Delphi and let me be me. My husband's more of an introvert than I am, so me, I can talk to anybody. I don't care, you know. Um, so he was like, okay, I'll take you, la la la. La." Well, then somehow my kids ended up. I've got um, all my kids are grown now, but at the time I have 4 grown children and they were all married. And so they all found out that I was gonna go to Delphi and go to the bridge and go and, talk to some of the locals if anybody would talk to me just to, you know, I was gonna solve that crime, right? So they were all like, "We're going, we're going." We ended up taking a caravan of 3 vehicles. and all of us went together. So that was 5 of my kids plus, uh, 4 4 of my kids' spouses, plus some grandchildren, and one of my daughter-in-laws was 7 months pregnant. And y'all, this is the God's honest truth. I have pictures to prove. I mean, they're all on Facebook. I have pictures and they have, I never thought it would get to here and we'd be here 7 years later talking about this mess, which is just ridiculous. So we went out there, and the first stop was to the gas station just as you're coming into town. We had no idea where Monon High Bridge was. Um, no idea where this place was at all. Because literally, Delphi is very, very small. I mean, it's so small. And so we stopped at this place to get a drink, and I figured, what a better place, There's going to be people in here. So I kind of just walked in by myself. I think one or two of my daughters got out of the cars, and we went in to go get drinks. And I was just like listening. You know how you're just kind of standing there looking at all the Cokes, knowing you're going to get you a Diet Coke, but you're standing there acting like you're going to get something else just so you could hear some commentary that's going on. That's what I was doing. I knew I was grabbing that Diet Coke, okay? But I wanted to know if people were talking about it in there. Of course, nobody was, because by now, this is March 15th. So this is a month after the girls were found. So when I went up to go pay for it, I asked the lady, I said, "Hey," I said, "do you mind talking to me a little bit about the girls?" And she knew exactly. I mean, truthfully, when I went, there was no more news crews, there was no more nothing. They had, the command center, of course, had gone down to a very small little building, that was manned by maybe 2 or 3 people. Everybody was gone. You couldn't tell there was any kind of FBI or anything there, okay? So, of course, they had already all gone through. I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow the chat too. Let me get just some of this out, and then I will do some of the chat and then answer some of the questions. Did I get hauntingly sad vibe when you went? Absolutely, and I'll get to that. Yeah, it's unreal. So, she did not want to. Thank you, Warrior. I appreciate that. Hey, if you guys aren't subscribed, please, please, please help me grow this channel. If you choose never to come back and you absolutely hate me, you're not going to be the first person that hates me, and you're not going to be the first person that loves me. But how about you act like you love me and just subscribe? It's free, cost you nothing. Thanks, guys. Anyways, she did not want to talk to me about the girls. Of course, the town banded together. They were sick of the media. They were sick of people like me. I was just as guilty as everybody else going into the town, wanting to know what was going on, going in to solve this crime, figure these people out, you know. And but the difference here between me and some people, not all people, but some people, is I respected them. I could only imagine if that was my town, and my town's bigger, but I would want to protect my town. I would want to protect the family and protect the girls. So I probably would not talk either. And anyhow, so she did not want to talk to us. So from there, we went to the McDonald's to get the grandkids something to eat. So we all went into the McDonald's. It may not have been McDonald's. I think it was McDonald's. It was a fast food joint. Um, we went into the McDonald's, and again, watching the kids eat, I wasn't really paying attention to anything that was going on around me. I was just paying attention to the people, because my plan was, if I heard somebody talking about it, I was going to mosey on over, and we were going to become BFFs for about 3 minutes till I got something that we weren't getting on the news, right? So, and not for anybody else, but just for my own curiosity. I wasn't going to call the news. They don't know that though, right? So I wasn't going to call the news. I wasn't going to put anything in a chat on Facebook. I wasn't going to do all that. I just the pure curiosity of it, right? That's all I was satisfying was just the pure curiosity and the complete devastation that this happened so close. It becomes different. It becomes more very, very personal whenever whenever it's something that's so close to you, right? So nobody talked. Nobody was saying anything, nothing, nowhere. So I was like, well, let's just go on to the bridge. So you can punch it in, GPS will take you right to the bridge. And I'm telling you, if you go under the bridge goes over, not the bridge that they not the Monon High Bridge that they were actually walking on, but Freedom Bridge, um, which is the crossroad that goes over the highway, Freedom Bridge, you could see that, but you don't know what that turns into over there on the right hand side coming from the way that I was coming from. You don't see that over there, there's Monon Bridge. All you see is woods. That's it. And then you come away from it a little bit. If you keep going underneath Freedom Bridge, then you'll see the old CPS building sitting over there. But that's it. If you're not from the area, you do not know, or at least I wouldn't. Okay. And my favorite thing to do is road trips anyway. So um, you just wouldn't know. It was even though all the leaves were off the trees, it's so dense and so thick back there that you don't realize that there's another bridge over there. I would have never known it. There wasn't any sign that I saw or anything like that that said, "Hey, Monon High Bridge is over here." All right, so we found a place to park, which was little did I know at the time, it was the same place that Libby and Abby were dropped off. Was really there's not many places to park out there. You could park at the CPS building, which is private property. You could park down at the Freedom Bridge. There's a parking lot down there. Um, but I don't know. I think we just thought that it being like a country road that you could just park on the side of the road. And I guess you can, maybe not today because of what else gone on, but during that time, like people, I guess, would park on the road there just to go up through the trails. If you're just going to be there, like walk to the bridge, get your exercise, walk your dog, come right back. If you're going to be in the trails for a couple of hours, then of course you would park down at the Freedom Bridge. We didn't. So we parked right there next to where the girls went in, but I did not know that at the time because there wasn't a whole lot being released from the police at the time. And I also wanted to see the memorial at the start of the bridge. When you walk up to the bridge, it has a wooden sign there. You guys have all seen it. It has a wooden sign and it says Monon High Bridge. And then there was a little makeshift memorial underneath that. People would bring flowers and stuffed animals and something that reminded them of Abby and Libby, and they would put it there. And I really wanted to see that and take pictures of it to, again, not to share with anybody, but curiosity, right? Just to feel close to them. Feel, I don't know. So it's a good walk up there. Um, now it may be, I think it's different for everybody, but it's for us, for our whole clan now, 7.5 month pregnant woman, all these babies. It was a good probably 20 minutes to get to the bridge from where we parked. Um, and you could see trails going off, but they're not highly used trails. You want to get more into the dense, more deeper into the woods is where the trails run off. Um, and then that trail eventually will take you, it like stops at the bridge, at the Monon High Bridge. And so right there, the minute uh Lenny, just like you just asked, that is where I first felt that grab of my heart. Like when I saw the sign, I see the bridge stretching out in front of me. I see all the stuff that people have left in memory of the girls. And that's the first time that my heart went into my throat and you do feel I felt and we all talked about it after the trip was over. It is a deep, deep sadness, like a sadness you can't explain. Like, I think the best word probably to use is what you use, haunting. It's like a deep, deep sadness, that's just in the air there. It's just it's a vibe, I can't explain it. It's very, very sad. Um, so my thought was, you know, I just thought everybody was gonna walk across the bridge. So my daughter, of course, my 7.5-month daughter-in-law started out on the bridge. Now, mind you, um, the bridge now has a lot of, maybe one-third of it has been fixed, so you could walk out like one-third of it, and it's all guarded and the landings, there's what, 7 landings, I think, out there. Those are covered up now, like, you can't stand on those anymore, like the little platforms off to the side of the bridge. But when I was out there a month later, the bridge looked as it was whenever Abby and Libby were on it. My daughter-in-law got to the first landing, got to the first panel right there that you could stand on, and I started walking, and every I think everybody knows about how wide railroad ties are. They're a good 12 inches, 9, 12 inches wide, maybe. And so you've got these railroad ties that are going across, right, that you walk on. But in between the railroad ties, if the railroad tie wasn't missing or broken, you've got a good 2, 3 inches in between each one. So you could see how far up you are. You look through them. You see the water running underneath there. You know how high you are. It is a total mind game. Total mind game. I did not even make it to the first platform. I absolutely did not. I got out halfway. One of the railroad ties was completely missing, so I had to step from one to the other one, like, or else you could if you fell into that hole, you're falling all the way down, and I couldn't get that out of my brain, right? Like, I my your legs will spread far enough just to step over it, but if you think about it too much, then I couldn't do it. And here my daughter-in-law's out there pregnant with my grandchild standing out there, and I was freaking out because there's nothing for her to hold on to if a stiff wind came. I was just scared, all these things are going through your mind as a mom, and also what just happened on this bridge a month prior. And I couldn't move. My son, her husband, had to come. She's telling us, "Come on, guys, it's not that bad." And now my head is spinning and there's nothing to hold on to. So my son walked out, probably it was probably only like 5 different railroad ties that I had walked and got to that place where I couldn't move anymore. And he grabbed my hand and walked me back. And we turned around and here comes my daughter-in-law bebopping off it. And she's like, "I can't believe nobody's going to go with me." And I was like, "Well, you're not going now either because that is so dangerous." Like, oh my gosh, like it's so dangerous. There's no way as a mother I could stand here and watch my grown children walk across this bridge and be okay with that. So I could only imagine what these parents went through before the girls were found, just knowing that they were on that bridge, because surely they've said they've all been out there before, it was a thing. It was the scariest situation, seriously. So we walked back away from the bridge a little bit, was still standing by the makeshift memorial there, and my son, who helped me walk off the bridge, he said, "I'm gonna go." He went from where we were standing, he went towards the left. He said, "I wanna go exploring this way and see what I can find." My husband and my youngest son went exploring to the right. So my oldest son went to the left, my youngest son and his dad went to the right. And everybody had cell phones, and us girls were up there just talking about it, and just going over, you know, how sad it was and, feeling bad for the families and just in disbelief about these girls and just the sad, sad feeling of the whole situation. And my phone started ringing, and it was my oldest son who had gone to the left of where I'm standing, where we were standing, looking at the bridge where you first walk onto it. And he said, "Mom, I found I found the site." And I was like, "What site?" And he said, "I found where the girls were found." And I was like, "Oh my God." And he said, "Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course I want to come." And so he said, "Just stay there because it's really, really thick. And I need to help you." And Ashley, that's his wife, is pregnant. He said, I need to help you and Ashley get through all this because we had never been out there. We didn't know where the trails were. And all the leaves are probably they're at some places they're up to your waist. At some places it's up to your knees. At some places they've been trampled down to your ankles. It's really, really rough terrain. And then because that you've got all these trees that are down, just like woods look like. You everybody's been to the Smoky Mountains or a forest area and you see trees that have fallen. Well, it's no different in there. There's trees fallen, but the problem is all these leaves are everywhere. You could trip and hurt yourself pretty bad because the leaves are covering a lot of these trees. So he comes back and I was like, "How far do we have to go?" And he said, "Well, I haven't found a trail." He said, "So we're gonna have to walk through here. Just be careful, hold your hand, blah, blah, blah." All right, fast forward, we get down, and it is rough. It's up and down and up and down and down and down and bump, 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 bump over a tree, under a tree. It's exactly like that, exactly like leaves everywhere. It was exactly like that. And then you finally, because you're kind of up on a hill where the bridge is, and then when you start going left or right, you kind of go, down a little bit, down a little bit, down a little bit. And so that's basically what it's like. You're ended up the further you get away from the bridge, the closer you get down towards the stream, right? So we finally got over there. That probably took that ordeal. That was an ordeal. That probably took longer than it took us to walk up from the cars to the actual bridge itself. So we finally got down there. All of us that had came, everybody knew that he was coming back to get us the leaves down there. And it took us a good while because, like I said, we didn't know where the trail was. It was actually down closer to the river, and we were kind of walking sideways, if you will, until we got closer to the quarantined area, the area that the police had roped off. The thing with the police roping, it's kind of a flat area, right? So where this is, it's pretty flat. There's tram there's still leaves on the ground everywhere. It's just not as thick with leaves. You could tell it had come in, been brushed out, kind of, and then leaves had from the wind had blown in. So it wasn't like above your ankles or anything like that. And there wasn't piles of leaves everywhere, right? There just wasn't that. It just was flat ground right there with and it was covered in leaves. And there was absolutely there was no sticks. There was no, like, fallen trees in that area, and I think that they were probably moved by the police or whatever by the time I mean, this was a month later, so I'm pretty sure it was all cleaned out by the FBI or whatever. So, there was a big discussion with the family of, do we go inside that crime scene tape? The deal with the crime scene tape, though, was it wasn't up anymore. So, you know how they like tie it to this post and that post, and then it, it's up. You know not to go inside that perimeter. Well, by this time, the crime scene tape was still there. It just wasn't up anymore. So one was hanging on this tree, one was hanging on that tree, but the area was opened up, if that makes sense. So we there was a discussion about it as a family. We had a discussion, do we walk any further than this? Whatever. And I was like, well, I'm going to. So I did. Because like I said, the crime scene tape wasn't up. Um so we walked in and of course you're just looking around and realize how really close to the river it is. And you can hear the river running and how close it is. And the area that's there that was quarantined off before I got there, it um, there's some trees right there. So if you're looking at the river, you can see the river through the trees, but if you're looking from the other side into past the river into where the girls are found, if you were on the other side of the river, it would have been very highly hard um, to see the girls, if at all, if you saw them at all, because even though like I said, the leaves and stuff were on the ground, so there wasn't barely any on the trees. We still have evergreens here in Indiana, right? That never die. And there's evergreens in there. The stuff that was by the river that was in between the river and the girls was a lot of evergreen and a lot of skinny tall trees that of course just had the bark on it. So it wasn't easy to see. So we were walking around and just looking, and that, I'm telling you, was the worst. It was the worst feeling. The only time I can liken it to anything that I've ever been to before was going to the 9/11 memorial, where you just can't, there's no words. There's nothing in your throat but a big lump, and then I mean, we just bawled our eyes out. It was terrible. Nobody talk You can't talk. There's nothing to say. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say. It just is what it is. And it is the most horrifying place to be, that so much evil had taken place there. And your mind is just flooded with this deep, deep sadness, but also you're flooded with, just a month ago, these 2 girls, these 2 beautiful, wonderful, happy girls met evil. And I think people use the word evil as just a word to throw out as something vile that they don't like. But when you come face to face with evil, like I did that day, or face to face with evil like I did even on 9/11, where so many people lost their lives, senselessly, these girls, senselessly, innocent babies, senselessly, is pure evil. There's no other word. We don't know a bigger word to use than, or I don't know a bigger word than evil to use, that that was there in that place that day. And I'm sure it's still there. I have not gone into that place. So since that day, I've been back to Delphi, but I have not gone back there, and I won't go back there. I just can't go back there. So where everybody's walking around in different directions. It's not a big place, but it's not a small place. Um, and my daughter walked up to me quietly and she said, "Mom," she said, "I think I found where they exact place where they found the girls." Now we were already in the perimeter, mind you. And I said, "How do you know?" And she said, "'Cause there's these flowers out of place that don't make any sense." And so she said, "Come on." And so I walked over there. You didn't have to walk that far, but by this time, these flowers, although they were still planted in the ground, like somebody had taken like a bouquet of flowers and just stuck them into the ground, at one time. And there were 2 bouquets that were just kind of stuck in the ground, but of course they had died, they had dried. That, to me, they were still beautiful. Um, and she was like, "Who do you think would have left these flowers? Somebody left these flowers here." Because like I said, it was the only place in the whole areas that we had been that had no no bushes. They had no big things full of leaves, nothing like that. That place had been swept clean, right? And then there's these 2 small bouquets of flowers that were still stuck into the ground. Um, so I took a picture of it. I've still got the picture. and it was time to go. So we weren't going to come back the way that we came because that was just really difficult to get through all that terrain and stuff. And like I said, we didn't know where the trails were. So what we turned around and we walked back up the hill. And at the top of the hill, once you get to the top of it and look out, is where the cemetery is. And on the right hand side is where Ron Logan's property is. And Ron Logan is the first man that he owned the property. He owned his he owned before he passed. He owned the property that the girls were living on, and his name is still coming out today as being the BG, the guy who was on the bridge that day. Um, I don't personally believe that, but there are some people that do, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion as far as I'm concerned. So we were coming out, we were fixing to go through the cemetery, and that part is gated off to from crossing the cemetery into the wooded area is gated off because Ron Logan did not own that part. He didn't own the cemetery or the part that was gated off or anything, so it kind of separated the two. As we were walking out, this is God's honest truth. My sons were ahead of us. My husband, my sons were ahead of us. Us girls were like coming up the hill slower. And they were like, there's some hair here in this. There was a branch sticking down that you kind of had to duck under to go to the gate. The gate was locked with a um, chain and um, a keypad or whatever, and so you had to climb over the gate to get out of there. But there was a branch and there was some hair hanging from it, and we were standing there for a long time. And again, everybody's talking as a family. What do we do with this? Tattooed Rebel, how are you? Thank you for what you left earlier. I did see it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh, thank you, Lindley. I'm the same way. It's so emotional. It's some people. I thought nobody wants to hear this, but it's my I could sit up here and go Richard Allen this, and here's some here's paperwork, here's some filings. We all know that, but there's not many people that that got to experience it. And so I thought, well, if they don't want to listen, they'll just leave, and that's all I can do. But maybe there will be somebody here. So anyways, we were talking about this hair that it was just a couple strands of hair that was hanging in this tree. And uh so let me take a drink real quick. That's a lot of talking, y'all. Holy Hannah. Diet Coke. Oh my God. I'm so addicted. Are you guys addicted to Diet Coke? Is anybody addicted to any drink? I think Richard Allen was a patsy in this crime. You know, tattooed a lot of people think that. Mm, I don't know. Uh, I don't know. I think we're gonna have to do a live eventually on the different theories and stuff because I think everybody brings something to the table. Like what makes you think Richard Allen was a patsy is maybe something that I haven't thought about that makes me uh, that helps me consider that because right now I don't consider it because of what I know, right? So I think that Pepsi is your drink. Yeah, girl. Regular Pepsi, Diet Coke is the devil, but I love it so much I can't stand it. Um, you did a live on the case tattooed. I'm gonna have to go and find it because I think I've watched everybody's that I know of. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna go find your live on the case. Anyways, tattooed, all I'm talking about is just when I went to Delphi. So Just giving my own a different something else to listen to here on this date of remembrance of Abby and Libby. Um, all right, so back to the hair in the tree. So we talked about the hair in the tree, and it was decided, well, we don't know how long it's been here, so we're gonna call it in. So we called the tip line. We told them. I didn't tell him. My son actually called the tip line. And before we did that, we went ahead and climbed over the fence. We knew we were on private property because see, Ron Logan's property, it was not there wasn't nothing that said private property. There was no lines or anything. You never knew when you crossed over to Ron in my case when I was there. You didn't know when you crossed over to private property. Now, of course, by the time we got up to where the cemetery was, I knew I was on Ron Logan's property. And the last thing I wanted to do was call the freaking police and tell them, "Hey, I'm handing over here in Ron Logan's property, and there's some hair in the tree. Get the hell out of there." So jumped over the fence, got into the cemetery. That's public property. We'll call the FBI from here, right? So my son called the tip line. It's the FBI hotline, and she asked who he was, got his name, his number, all that. Told him that we were out looking around and happened to find some hair in a tree and thought we would just turn it in, that we were leaving. Told him where it was at. And she said, "Hold on just a second." And then she put him on hold. And then she came back. She said, "Sir, are you the group of people that's standing outside the cemetery right now?" And he's got her on speakerphone, and all of us at once started looking all the way around. We're looking in the sky, we're looking everywhere. There were no cars. We didn't see no cars. We didn't see no cameras. We didn't see no drones. All I kept thinking was, surely they've put cameras on Ron Logan's property over there. So of course they did. And I never even gave that any thought. And my son said, "Yes, ma'am." He said, "That's us. We're in." And she said, "Do not go anywhere. We've got a team coming out." Oh, holy crap. I was so scared. I'm not lying to you. I was petrified. I just was like, I'm freaking going to jail. We're all going to jail. I got everybody to go to jail. And I was scared to death. So here came two vehicles. It wasn't even, I'd say about 6 minutes it took them to get there. One was a van and one was a pickup truck that had a cab on it. And the guys that got out of the van um, asked who the name was. I don't want to give my son's name out right now, but asked who the name was that called, and he said that was me. I'm the one that called, and he's like, "Need you to show us where this hair is?" And off they went. The rest of us, we were told to stay there. Oh God, I was so scared. And the two guys out of the pickup truck walked over, and they're wearing black camo pants and black polo kind of shirt, and they had a badge on their belt loop thing, and one of them had a gun, and I was like, "Oh my God, we're done. We're going to jail. We're going to prison. I've never been in a courtroom. I'm in trouble. My kids are in trouble. I've gotten everybody in trouble." And they asked what we were doing out there, and I just told them, I was like, "Look, we're from Noblesville, Indiana, and I've been following the case for a month. I wanted to come and see what, you know, get the feel for what's going on here. I'm in a Facebook group, and we've seen all the pictures." I just gave him the whole spiel. I was honest with him about everything. And he was like, "Well, if you were past that gate, you were in private property." And I was like, "Yes, sir, we were past that gate, but y'all already knew that because where the hair's at." And he said, "Okay, well, once we collect this," he said, "we have your information, we have your son's information, and we'll be in touch with you." Well, the guys came back out and they had like a baggie. It and I remember it had like a green stripe on it. So I could tell my son had told me that they had wrote his name on the stripe and then like a coordinates or something and then hair. And the guys came out and they told us, and one of them was putting the bag in the van while the other guy came out and said, "We really believe it was horsehair because we did have horses out here looking for the girls, and it looks like horsehair." And I was like, "Well, I apologize. I would never waste anybody's time or I know y'all are busy, don't wanna waste your time or whatever, but I mean, if it does belong to somebody, then you need to know." Well, we never heard from them again. So I think can you imagine how many tips they got? How many people went through there and found a cigarette butt or something, and how many times they had to go out there? But I'm not lying to you, I was scared to death. And they said, "Do not be back in on private property without his permission," and all this other stuff. And they didn't ask nothing else, so I didn't have to tell anything else. Um, but what I was curious about was surely they saw us there on some kind of camera or something, some drone or whatever. Why didn't they catch us uh, before we called? Why check the cameras then? I mean, isn't that why you got a camera up? But hey, that's neither here nor there, and that's for them to have to figure out who's manning the cameras and why they didn't see me. So um, that that just a minute, Rebel, what tattoo? Why don't you go ahead and come up if you want to come up. I will drop the link. Tell me how to do it again. How did they say to do it? Yeah, I'm sorry. This is just gonna take me just a second, and then we'll finish it up. How do I drop the link again? Does anybody know? StreamYard link. Uh-huh. That's true, Don. They might have been. Um, does anybody know how to drop the link? Because I forget how to do it. Layout remove from stage. Solo layout mute. That's not it. Copy and paste into the chat. But where do I find the copy and paste? Hold on, guys. Give me just a second. I'm so sorry for this. This is only the second time I've done this. Sorry, can't help you. It's okay. I did it last night. I just have to remember how I did it. Let's see. Ah, yeah, I see it now. Okay, invite, copy. That's right. I got it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Shazam. Sh- s- can can I get a round of applause for that? Let's go. Let's go. Blondie learned how to do it again. All right. Come on up, tattooed. I got it. Thank you. Thank you, Millie. Did you clap? Did you give me a round of applause? I wish we could all talk. I would rather that so much. Add to stage.
What's up?
Oh, God. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm learning. I did take a bow. I did take a bow. I'm learning this. I'm learning it. I'm gonna learn it. you know what? I almost gave up last night. And I was like, you know what? Rome wasn't built in a day. I'm not gonna grow a channel in a night. So I've given myself a month.
I think you're doing good.
You do? Well, that is good coming from you. Thank you so much.
You're
Now
mighty welcome.
you're gonna have to pull. I don't know how to share screen or anything like that. I haven't learned how to do that. Like how to
All right. What do you want me to share?
um Do you have pictures of what do you have? Let's just put it that way.
Well, I tell you what.
See if you could add to this.
Oh, I can. But
Thank you guys. Thank you, Lenny. I appreciate that. Thank you, Melly Joe. It's hard for me to say Melly Joe because of my granddaughter, Millie Joe. So if I mess that up, please forgive me. I think you can share stuff and
excuse
then
me.
I just have to add it. Is that correct?
That's it.
Yes, sir. Y'all, I'm telling you, I'm going to remember y'all. When I make it
Lenny.
big someday.
Hey, Lainey.
Hey, Angel, how are ya?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, what I'm going to do now, the only thing is I've got the pictures, but I'd have to find them. But what I'll do is I'll give you you can watch my video.
Okay.
And if you want to, you can throw your opinions in there.
Okay. Wow, I
All
got
right.
permission to use somebody's video, you guys.
Well, you've always got my permission. You don't have to have my permission.
Same here, same here. Not that it'll be a while before I have anything you want to use, but
All right.
whatever you want to use, you use it.
All right. Now, down at the bottom, you'll see two of me. One's me and one's the video.
Yes.
Click on the video.
Add to stage.
Yep.
You guys.
Now, if you hover over the one that's got the video, you'll see a big white screen up in the top left-hand corner.
Yes, sir.
Click on that. That'll make it bigger.
Uh-huh.
Now, all you got to do is tell me when, and I'll push play.
Okay. So can you give us so this is your live on it? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and what I'm talking about in here is, like I said, I'm in my opinion, I think, and this is just my opinion, that Richard Allen is a patsy, just
Okay.
like Oswald was in the Kennedy shooting,
Mm-hmm.
because they never found a hat like the guy in the video on the bridge. Well, there is a guy that lives in Indiana that has a hat that sounds like this guy. I've got a voice. I think it's in this video. I've got a voice capture of Richard Allen, and I've got a voice capture of Brandon, and the guy's name's Brandon something. And
Brandon Woodhouse.
uh, it may be. I can't never remember the last names that good.
Yep.
But he sounds just like him. So
Okay.
I'll let y'all play it.
And
Now,
then how do I stop it when I want to stop it?
just tell me and I have to. Or
Oh, gotcha.
this is what you can do. Go to my channel, and that way you can stop it when you want to. Because I do have to get in the bed to go to work for in the morning.
Okay, well, I will play a little bit of it and then I could just take it out of StreamYard, right?
All you got to do is go over there and click on it and bring it up on StreamYard down there where it says, see, all I got to do is where it says stop screen.
Uh-huh.
And then when you go over to get my video, you click on it and hit show screen, and it'll bring it up on your StreamYard.
Okay, gotcha. Thank
Okay?
you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. That's all you got to do. And if you
All
want to
right,
make it bigger so you can show it,
Okay.
just hit that little button up in the top left-hand corner.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, that's no problem.
And
I'll help you out as much as I can.
I appreciate that. Give them kids some love from me.
I will. And
Um,
you can tell her good night, Becca.
Good night, girl.
it was good hearing from you. Y'all take care of yourself. I'll be over in chat.
You too, honey.
All right. Well, now we're going to do a Valentine's Day special tomorrow.
Oh, are you? What time?
Probably about, I think it's 8 o'clock.
All right. Did you got it
Because I got
already?
to work till 7.
You got it already scheduled?
Yeah, it's already scheduled.
All right. I'll go make sure I've got the bell hit on that then.
I already got
I'll come out
tomorrow
there
night
see
and
y'all.
Thursday night.
Okay. I'll make sure to get out and see you guys then.
All right. Y'all have a
All
good
right.
night. Y'all
All right.
sub up to this lady. Let's build this channel up for her.
Thank you so much.
And I'll put your channel in tomorrow night on mine and Thursday nights.
All right. Sounds great.
All right.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Much love and respect to everybody in chat. Y'all be good.
You too. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.
Later.
Y'all, they're the sweetest people. Y'all probably already know them though. They they tattooed Rebel does he does true crime and he also does puts on dancing parties. I was in the last one that they did. I already told y'all his wife just amazes me and she also has her own channel and I think it's called Angel Tattooed Angel is what I think it's called. And yeah, I listen to her. She does a karaoke and then she does I think she does mental health. I haven't been to the mental health one yet, but went into the I went into her karaoke. All right, guys, where were we? Let's see. Let's finish this up. So you guys are probably good and sick of me by now. White trash. Yes, yes. This is it. It's so good. My husband tattooed, I wanted to tell you this. My husband was sitting in here watching it with me because I usually watch anytime I go to y'all's channels. If I'm not chatting, usually I just have you up on the big screen on my TV because it's easier for me to see. And he was in here sitting on the couch jamming too. He said, You play the right kind of music. I like that kind of music. Dawn, you got to go over there. My sister's a big music lover too. All right, let me get back to this real quick before everybody leaves me and falls asleep on me. Let's see, where was I? All right, the FBI. So they came and went, told us don't go back on the property. Pardon me, we did not. There was no way I was ever going to go back on that property. Even if they told me I could go hang out, I wasn't going back. There was no way to go back there. I think for me, the sadness, the heaviness of it all, there was no way. There was no way I could spend another second. The even the air. I sure will. I will tell him thank you. Um, the air there, it's probably psychological, but it just felt so thick, and, yeah, so there was no way I was going back to that. Um, so we left there, and if you look on, um, Find a Grave, the website Find a Grave, you could actually find out what cemetery the girls are in, um, and I did. At that time, though, Libby's Libby's cemetery was actually put out on the news, so I already knew where she was at. And I wanted to go pay my respects to her. And Abby's was kept private. She had, they both had a memorial at their school um, for the community come out to. And there was no way I could go to that. Even if I lived next door, I would not have gone to that because it, nah, I just couldn't have done that. Not children. Um, but I did want to pay my respects since I was over there. And Abby, her where she was laid to rest was kept private for a very long time. Now it's actually on Find a Grave. So that day I couldn't go out to Abby's because I had no idea. I mean, word was, I mean, even on the news was that she was taken back to Michigan and that's where she was buried. That's what we all thought. That's what a lot of us thought. Um, I so we went out to we stopped and we got some flowers. My husband picked out some flowers. I was an emotional wreck. Seriously, I just told him to get some pretty purple and if they had like a turquoise in them, get that color. They didn't have all that. It was just a bunch of I think they were just a bunch of different types of flowers but I remember like a lot of yellow and white that you would see more in the springtime here in Indiana. So, and I am a big lover of wildflowers. They're my absolute favorite flower. And so he got me a bouquet of those, and we went out to the cemetery. And her her burial site is not hard to find. It's right there as soon as you You don't even have to turn down a street. You just go in and she's there right there on the right-hand side. And yeah, so we laid flowers there. Uh, Another quiet moment and having to explain, to some younger grandkids all the way back home why we did what we did and the dangers of the world, you know, without trying to be too graphic to a 9 and 10-year-old, you know, which is what we did. Or what my kids had to do. Actually, my grandkids were not riding with me, only my son, but he was in elementary school at the time. No, I'm sorry, he was in middle school at the time when all that happened. But yeah, so it was we paid our respects to Libby and then drove back through the town slowly, and I prayed. I prayed for those people. I prayed for those families, and it was definitely a different feeling leaving because having seen everything I had seen that day, um, that was very heavy, very deep, very emotional. Leaving the town, I just carried that emotion with me until I got home, and it was, it lightened up a little bit. Um, but coming into the town, you come in with excitement, like you're gonna meet people, you're gonna solve a crime. I didn't really think that truthfully, but that's where your head goes. And but leaving the town, having spent time walking the same places these people walked and knowing their story, it was completely devastating. Since then, we have honestly, just a couple weeks ago, my husband and I went back to Delphi, and it was the first time I got to see Abby's resting place because it's now on Find a Grave, and went back to Abby and Libby's. They're in two separate places, and laid flowers at their resting places, and that's what we solely went over there for. And it's a 2.5 hour trip for me from where I am now, but it was worth it. It was worth going back. I knew the 7 year time was coming up, and I everything that's going on with Delphi and with the corruption and with all the crap and the lawyers and the this and then that. I think the girls have gotten lost and all. I think people have forgotten that there were two young girls that have lost their lives, and there's families out there that need this to be done. They It needs to be done. It needs to be finished, and it just got court just got shoved off into next year, right? Didn't it just get shoved off again until next year? Sometimes I get this so much going on in this case and the Idaho case right now are going on, and the courts seem to be on maybe not on the same days, but like even in the same week, and it messes with my head like who's where and what's where. So, um, yellow flowers, let's see, that would have been too emotional to go. Yeah, it was tough, but you know what? I'm so glad I did it. I have a new appreciation, and I feel like they're my kids. I don't know. Um I'm curious about Lindley and Dawn. I know both of you two are from Indiana. Do you feel like they're your kids in some sort of way, like Indiana's kid? Yellow flowers means love, not like everyone thinks red is. I've heard that before. I love yellow. I love wildflowers. Ones I don't know, because maybe I think I feel like a wildflower. You know, there's no form or um, I don't know. I think I'm different. That's okay. That's okay too. I don't conform. I guess that's what it is. But yeah, we went back out there just honest to God 2 weekends ago, and late got to see um, spend a little bit of time with Abby and laid flowers again, and so that was special. I don't know that I'll ever go back out there unless I absolutely would love to do the trial. I feel like I've invested enough into it that I think I would really, really love to go to the trial. Um, oh gosh, thank you so much for listening to it. I didn't know if it was going to be too much. I didn't know if anybody would really care to hear my story, but it's a story nobody else has. And to tell you the truth, I went the next day because that day we didn't get back until real late. Um, the next day I went on Facebook and I thought the person who's on YouTube, I actually thought he was running that group. I don't know if he is or was or not, but I knew that he knew a lot, and I knew that the FBI had questioned him. And so I pulled him to the side and I was like, "Hey, I've got some information." And I went there and he doesn't live in Indiana and he was curious about it and he said, well, he started asking questions about it and I couldn't tell him. I I I couldn't even say I found exactly where the girls were found. I couldn't tell him about the flowers that I saw. It felt so dirty and so wrong and so intrusive, like I had intruded into somebody's most private that I was so scared to share that. And you know what? We don't talk about it. Me and my family don't. Hey, remember that time we went out and we saw, we don't talk about it. It just feels when I started talking to this person and he started asking me questions, I was like, you know what? I'm really sorry, but I can't talk about that. And he's like, well, I can't help you if you can't tell me. Asshole, I didn't ask you to help me do anything. I was just giving you information because you already this is what I'm thinking. I didn't tell him that, but I'm thinking he's the one person I may be able to talk to about what I saw, um, and because he already knew so much of the case and that I could maybe get some of this, heaviness off of me and give it to somebody else. I didn't know what to do with what I had seen, and I thought because he was so familiar with the case and he had talked to the FBI and all that, that I could um, actually give some of it to him so that I didn't have to carry it. I didn't know what to do. And that it I knew that nobody had talked about the flowers. The flowers actually didn't come out until Becky I think it was put in a news story once after we had seen them that the families were allowed to go down and put flowers. And we heard that after we had gotten there to see them. So, and then Becky and I think it was Becky Patty who was given an interview with her husband, and it was either her or Abby's mom um, that had given an interview and said that the police allowed them to go into the scene and showed them exactly where they were found, and each family was allowed to place a bouquet of flowers there. That didn't come out until after I had found them. In fact, I was still iffy on whether the flowers were put there on whether they were put there beforehand and the police just left them there and it didn't have anything to do with the crime scene or if I didn't know the whole meaning of it. But I knew that it was very possible. And my daughter just was like, Mom, no, people just aren't going to leave flowers. There's a reason it's like memorials on highways. You see the cross and you see flowers out there, and somebody lost their life there. And that's what this was. There was no cross out there. There's nothing like that. It was just flowers that were stuck in the ground that were still sticking up out of the ground. And it was beautiful. And the flowers had died off and it was beautiful. It was truly beautiful, but it was heavy. So when I talked to this guy on Facebook who's a creator on YouTube, once he started questioning me and then I was coming, like I just the words wouldn't come from my mouth. I couldn't tell him. I just felt so like I was violating somebody somewhere and being so intrusive and it's not who I am. I didn't set out to hurt anybody. So you people, you beautiful, sweet people that stuck with me through all of that are the only ones that I've ever really told that story to, ever. And so I'm very, I always said I probably would do Delphi as the very first thing that I would cover, but I wouldn't cover it in a way that you guys have already all heard, that we've already all heard. You guys can, we can turn to any channel and get the same bullshit that's put out there, you know? But I wanted to tell my story, and that's my story with the girls. And I'm grateful I did it. Would I ever do it again? Yeah, I probably would do it again, but I think I would find somebody who I could, because it's hard to carry. It was really hard to carry for a long time. And then the ones of us that did go, we didn't want to talk about it because it was so deep. Was it? And then you heard on the news all the time it was so deep, and you didn't know who you could trust, or if you're breaking the law, if you're going to break someone's heart, if you're going to break a family member's heart that hears, oh, these people went out there to where my child was found. I didn't want to add any more pain to anybody anywhere. And so I never said anything. And so 7 years later, that's God's perfect number. I think it's okay. I think telling you guys what I did, what right or wrong, um, I told my story, and that's it. That's who I am. Um, I would like to cover more of it later. Like I said, I definitely think I'm probably gonna definitely do the trial, go to the trial. Um, if not, at least be outside and and do all that. So, um, but I would like to do more, like what Rebel said. I would like to, because I believe Richard Allen did do it. I I do. I think some people see his picture now of the frail old man that's being portrayed on the TV, and hell, he might be. Um, and we forget what Richard Allen looked like and acted like when they arrested him. Totally different, two different human beings, it looks like. Um, and we're 7 years away from the crime, so a lot of people have detached themselves already. I haven't. I still feel it. I still want to see this to the end. And I do believe that they've got the right guy, but I do also believe that there's a lot of corruption that's gone on. There's a lot of stupidity that's gone on, and a whole lot of it's been screwed up. But and if we don't get it together soon, I do think that he's gonna. There's not gonna. I do think that something's gonna happen to him, and that's really really sad. And I don't know that I want him to have I think, hey, I think he did it, and I want him to have a fair trial. But I think if we don't do it sooner than later, there's not going to be a trial for one way or another. Um, and that's just my opinion on it. But I would absolutely love to hear what anybody says or what Tattooed Rebel says, because that's what discussion's about. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you at all. But hear me out and let me hear you out. Let me stew on it. Let me think on it. Let me do my own research, and then maybe I'll come to a different conclusion, but maybe I won't. But at the same time, I like to hear your stories. I like to hear your take on it. I would really like to do um, more of these where y'all decide to come up, and talk to me about different things, different cases. Even when we're just having a chit chat, sit around, listen to Darling. Well, there's my real name. I did it. Uh, listen to me be stupid, because, whoo, Lord, I can be stupid. Um, so I hope y'all stick around for the long run. I thank you guys for being here. I will be going over, but I will be going over Tattoo Rebels live. I think that would be interesting, especially since he has a different thought than I do about it. I think that'd be interesting to get his thoughts. But until then, I'm gonna try to be doing a live at least every other day, just because I want to get this up and running. I don't want to make $1 million here. I don't want to make big time money here or anything like that. I just want to make friends. There's got to be people that are as passionate about stuff that I'm passionate about and that I can connect with in some way. There has to be that. And maybe there's people out there that feel the same way as me. They just want someone to connect with that's not going to step into I'm not going to do this real life crap that goes on out here, who you're married to, who you're not married to, who your children are. That's your business. That's your business. If you want to share that, then you share that. I'll give you a platform to share it. Something you got to talk about, get off your chest, you're having a bad night, let's talk about it. That's what I want to do. I want to talk about the true crime that I'm passionate about. I don't want to hit every headline. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. There's enough people out there doing it. Let them do it. There are things, Delphi, Idaho 4, I've been following that like everybody else. Um, there's a couple other ones that are going on in the news right now too, um, that I'm passionate about, but I'm not going to jump on every bandwagon case. Um, some nights it'll just be like I said, if you're having a bad day and you just you want to listen to some music or laugh a little, talk a little, cry a little, I'll be here with you. We'll do it all. We'll do it all. So I appreciate all y'all for coming in and for hanging out with me for Lordy, a little over an hour and a half. You guys are the real MVPs. I'm telling you that right now. So with that, I will sign off and I wish you all the best night. And thank you, Lenny. I appreciate that so, so much. Um, Maybe I'll figure this thing out. You guys can figure it out with me, and then we'll grow to, let's see, I'm almost at 100 subs. So when we grow to 250 subs and we've made it, then I'll be able to see who the real OGs are. Because right now it's you guys. So if you stick around, you guys will be the real OGs. Thanks, Don. All right, guys, you have a good night. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a happy Valentine's Day. And I hope, um, if you don't have a Valentine in a sweetheart, I hope that you find a Valentine in your children, in your parents, in your sister, in somebody you love, and that you feel very loved. Good night, guys. See you next time.